হ্যালো ভিউয়ার্স, আরো একবার আমি হাজির রুবাদ ইফতেখার লকডাউন ক্রিকেট ফ্রেন্সি লাইভের আরো একটা এপিসোড নিয়ে। এবং আজকে আমাদের সাথে বরাবরের মতো রয়েছেন একজন ভেরি স্পেশাল গেস্ট, যারা ফাস্ট বোলিং পছন্দ করেন, যারা ক্রিকেটের সেই উন্মাদনা ফাস্ট বোলারদের মধ্যে দেখতে পান, তারা এনাকে অবশ্যই চিনবেন। I'm welcoming you to my show, one of the fastest ever bowlers, Shaun Tait. Shaun, how are you? Welcome to
I'm
our
good,
show.
thank you. Oh, it's nice to be on your show. Thanks for having
All
me.
right. It's our pleasure, absolutely. First of all, let me start by asking you how things are going over there, during this COVID pandemic, and how people are coping up with this.
Look, I'm currently in Adelaide, so Adelaide's not too bad. We don't have many cases currently. We went through some restrictions early on a few months ago and a few lockdowns, but to be honest, as far as the rest of the world goes, we're quite lucky here, I must say.
And I hope you and your family is safe and sound, and you are maintaining all the precautions needed. We wish to have a nice show and a nice friendly chat, but I want to start at the very beginning. Pretty usual stuff. Your childhood. You've been a Adelaide boy, right? You were born and brought up over there.
Yeah, I'm from the Adelaide Hills, so we know when I was growing up, it was considered as country. In Australia, we sort of have city and country guys,
Right.
And quite often the country guys, as far as cricket goes, have often been successful because I suppose we had so much room in our backyards or our farms to play cricket. So I grew up in a small farm with plenty of space,
Right.
which allowed me to play cricket and football and things like that with my brother.
Exactly. But Shaun, what were your inspirations of getting into cricket, and who were your childhood heroes? Obviously, every Australian fast bowler I've talked to cite the name of Dennis Lillee, the great one, as their first inspiration. But was he the same for you?
Well, probably not, because I was a bit young for Dennis. I never got to see Dennis play. So for me, it was Glenn McGrath. But I loved Curtly Ambrose and Wasim and Waka. I must admit those four guys I think were my favourites growing up, and sort of early 90s. I was born in 83, so I suppose around the age of 9, 10, 11, 12, those guys were at the top of their game, and that's when it was that's when I was coming through and really understanding the game.
All right. From the very beginning of your cricket career, did you know that you were going to be always a tier away fast bowler? I mean, you always would dream of bowling fast, this fast?
Well, I always dreamed of it, but I never thought I'd be an out-and-out fast bowler. I mean, when I was a kid, I suppose like a lot of young cricketers, I was a bit of an all-rounder. I used to bat for my local team as well. And I suppose as I got older, I got a bit bigger and a bit stronger, and I grew and I was able to bowl fast. Sort of probably more later teenage years, I suppose. I could bowl faster.
All right, but people bowl fast. Then there are a category which you belong. You, Shoaib Akhtar, Brett Lee, and Jeff Thompson, who are like 100 miles fast. How did that happen? I mean, where did that extra 10 miles came about?
It's a very I've been asked that question a lot through my career and post career, but I think it's a hard one to answer because it sort of comes a bit naturally. I think you've got to have a certain amount of aggression in you when you're playing cricket. And I believe the number one part about bowling fast is having that attitude to bowl fast. Shoaib had a real attitude about him. Brett Lee had an attitude, really aggressive attitude on the field. And I suppose myself, Jeff Thompson, these guys were probably the same. But the problem with that is your career is probably going to be a lot shorter, and you're probably not going to play as many test matches as well, certainly from in my side. I'm 6'4", 100 kilos, and trying to bowl 150 kilometers an hour. What came with that was a lot of injuries and probably a shorter career than I might have had, I suppose.
Right. When you started your career, I mean, and during your playing days, we used to see, a plethora of quality fast bowlers who can really bowl quick. You were there, Brett was there, Shoaib was obviously there. New Zealand had Shane Bond playing for them. South Africa obviously had Dale Steyn at his peak. But now we don't see this kind of TROA fast bowlers, Pacers now we see are bowling at max at 145, 140 clicks on and about that pace. We have the odd Mitchell Stark who can bowl 150 or maybe a Kagiso Rabada, but not as many fast bowlers. What are the reasons? What do you think?
Well, I think what we do have is a lot of very good fast bowlers right now, and I don't know. I think they may be becoming a bit smarter, and obviously there's a lot of coaching around now. There's a lot of sports science around, which I think that's they're talking to the players about extending their career, playing more Test cricket. If you want to play more Test cricket, or if you want to have a longer career, you probably have to sacrifice some of that pace. Patrick Cummins is a perfect example of a guy that could bowl mid 150s. He now bowls low 140s, but he's a really good bowler. So he's decided, I don't want to bowl 150 because it's going to hurt my body and I'm not going to play. So he's going to bowl mid 140s, low 140s, and be a much better bowler. But I suppose I certainly went against that grain and just wanted to bowl fast all the time, and my action was a lot different as well. So everybody's different. I suppose the answer to that might be players are getting a little bit smarter. And whether it's a good thing or not, there's a lot of coaching and a lot of over-coaching to work on players to last longer.
Right, but don't you think that takes away the excitement of watching a fast bowler tearing away the batsman, roughing up the batsman? I really, as a cricket fan, I miss people like you who's bowling out and out fast. I still remember the over that you bowled against Pakistan. Still Imran Farhat recalls it at his one of his the reddest memories. So do you miss that excitement?
Yeah, I do. That's
as a cricket watcher.
Yeah. So that's one thing I think is missing a little bit from Jofra Archer, when he gets the steam up, he can get up, to the 150s, and he's quite good to watch. But it probably doesn't happen often enough. And I like entertainment. Growing up, I loved the one-day cricket because we had Kirtley, Ambrose, and Wakar and Wasim, and it was really entertaining stuff. So we're probably missing, although the cricket is really good now, the standard of cricket is very good, but there's a little bit of that excitement with fast bowlers that we're lacking. I agree with that.
Wonderful. Shaun, your big moment of your career, I think you consider the Ashes or the 2007 World Cup. For us, it was the 2007 World Cup because that was the first time when the Bangladeshi viewers, saw a good glimpse of you because you played against them. But what was your highlight?
I think 2007 for me is the highlight of my career for sure. I think the Bangladesh game was rain affected, if I remember right. And yes,
it wasn't. It didn't happen.
And I don't think I bowled
it was affected
that day. I don't think I bowled very well that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas most of the other games actually did okay. But I didn't get to play against Bangladesh a heap. When I was coming through, and obviously if you compare Bangladesh in the early 2000s to now, it's a lot different, The one thing I did do is play. I did play in the Bangladesh Premier League, which was actually the first time I went to Bangladesh.
Exactly. So my next question would be you played the BPL, you obviously played the IPL and the Big Bash. So you find any similarities, or there are more dissimilarities than similarities in these sort of leagues, or the setup is pretty much same? What do you feel?
It's sort of, I suppose there are a lot of similarities, but at the same time, there's obviously a few differences. Probably the conditions, the wickets. In Australia, it can be tougher in Australia actually for bowlers at times because the wickets come on so well. There's so much bounce, and they're quite flat for batsmen. For batsmen, but at the same time, the ovals are a bit bigger, the boundaries are a bit bigger. So, I enjoyed my time in the Bangladesh Premier League. I played for the Chittagong Kings. And it was the first time I'd been to Bangladesh, and had a great time. But when you talk about cricketing highlights, 2007 World Cup, along with my first year of IPL, I would have to put the IPL up there as a highlight because sharing the dressing room with players from all different parts of the world was, I think, probably the best thing I've done in my career. And the Bangladesh Premier League was the same. We had guys from Bangladesh, we had guys from Australia, England, South Africa. And the mix of cultures was a highlight of my career.
Right, Shaun, you obviously said that you enjoyed playing these franchisee leagues, but when you played for the Chittagong Kings and you saw a lot of young fast bowlers, in the nets, and you had in your team, do you find any difference in the mindset about bowling fast? Because bowlers in this part of this world, they are a bit defensive while we're talking about fast bowlers. And in a bowler in growing up in Australia would be more attacking and trying to bowl more balls to rough off the batsman. Whether it's the opposite in this parts of the world, what is the reason? Do you think?
Well, I think number one is probably the conditions. It's the extreme heat and humidity, along with low wickets more often than not, I suppose, and a bit more spin friendly, I suppose, traditionally in the subcontinent. And then I suppose that attitude thing I was talking about, fast bowling, maybe they write themselves off before it actually happens, rather than saying, it is a flat wicket, it's a low wicket, but I'm going to be a point of difference and just bowl out and out pace anyway. Because I honestly think that good pace on those wickets actually really helps, for LBWs with the keeping low and that sort of thing. But in saying that, I played with Rubel Hussain, and he had that attitude, that fast bowling attitude. He was aggressive, and he genuinely really did want to run in a bowl fast. So there are some guys there that do have that mindset. I think you're probably going to get the right coaches in there as well to help bring that out of them.
Right, Shaun, there's a fan message. Farhan Mahmood is writing that he loved your attitude with the pace, and he thinks that you never compromised your speed for anything, and he loves you.
Well, he's right, which is why I was injured all the time, but it doesn't matter. I tend to agree with him. I didn't compromise pace for anything, and if I had my time again, I wouldn't change a thing. So thanks for that.
Right. A lot of fan questions are coming in. I'm going to read a couple of them for you. Most of the questions are regarding fast bowling, obviously. One of them asks why we don't get 145 to 150 kilometer pace bowler in Bangladesh. What is the reason? So far, you've seen a bit in the conditions and the bowlers. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just adding to that as well. I mean, the other thing is, if you look at over the years, for example, I use Australians or South Africans as an example, or New Zealanders. Generally, the fast bowlers are 6'5", 6'6", big burly people, right? That not always, but a lot of time that tends to help as well. That also comes into it. You've got to take that into account a little bit. But there are also smaller guys that also, Ajit Agarkar is a great friend of mine from India. He's not a big guy, but he bowled mid 140s as well. So, occasionally there are occasions when smaller guys can bowl fast, but I think the size of people, that does help a little bit as well.
All right, so there's another question. It's very pertinent. Now there are 3 forms of cricket, and a lot of cricket is going on all around the calendar. Do you think it is killing the fast bowlers?
Possibly a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, people talk about the batsmen a lot changing their game because of 2020. Sorry, I'm just adjusting. I'm putting a charger on my phone. No
problem. No problem. But you take your time.
They talk about the batsmen changing their game because of 2020 cricket. And I suppose bowling, I don't think it's a huge excuse, because I think that you can just train a little bit less. If you're playing more games, I believe, with coaching and that sort of stuff, then let the players rest a little bit more. And maybe not bowl as much at training, because when you got 3 forms, you don't need to be in the nets every day. So I would put a lot more. I'd just say I'd put a lot more emphasis on playing games rather than training all the time.
All right. There's also of interest. There's a question. Yes, let me take this one. All right. That's a very good question. You played under Shane Warne in Rajasthan Royals, and do you think he's the best captain that cricket never had, the best international captain that cricket never had? Because we've all heard about his captaincy, which we could not see in the international level.
I don't know the answer to that question, just because, look, he was a great captain in the IPL. I really enjoyed playing under him. He kept things really simple. We had a lot of fun when he was captain. A really laid-back attitude. At the same time, it was 2020 cricket, so it's a little different. I suppose the problem is, at the time, Australia had Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting, who were obviously great leaders themselves.
Exactly.
So you could pick between any of those guys to be captain, I suppose. But at the same time, look, all I know from Warney is, from my experience, he was a good 2020 captain. He had great tactics. He kept things really nice and simple. And I enjoyed my time under him.
And Shaun, obviously, coming back to the circumstances that are happening right now, ICC is taking cricket pretty seriously, taking the security and safety of the cricketers pretty seriously. Do you support, the international cricket happening at this time, during this outbreak, and how ICC is handling the whole situation, putting the cricketers in a safety bubble, they have prohibited the use of saliva and sweat. Your thoughts on these changes?
Well, I think it's great that cricket's going on. That's for sure. I know for myself, I sit up late at night and I've been watching the cricket over in England from home here, so I'm more than happy with it, because it's something to watch. And I think after a few months of not having cricket to watch, it really felt like a bit of a hole in people's lives, I suppose, not being able to watch. Especially you play, India, Bangladesh, and these places where fans are so mad about cricket. It would have been a big hole in people's lives, and so keeping the game going has been fantastic. I think they've done a great job. And yeah, obviously, for the time being, unfortunately, we just have to be smart with the rules, with the saliva and sweat and things like that. And hopefully, hopefully this time next year we're going back to normal. Who knows?
All right, and talking about the franchisee leagues. Just before going to that question, I'm going to take another one. Abid Mohammed is asking you, in BPL you played with Taskin Ahmed. Tell us something about him. Yes, Taskin is going to join us pretty soon in the show, but your first thoughts on that. He's one of the fastest we've ever had.
Yep. He's another guy, along with Rubel, who I was thinking about as well.
Yeah.
Had that same fast bowler attitude. And I was lucky enough to play with both of those guys and be around them at training. And actually, Taskin was really young when I played there, and I remember doing a bit of work with him in the nets. A great young lad, and just watching him over the last couple of years playing for Bangladesh was making me quite happy to watch that, because I played with him and did some work with him as well. So a great young fast bowler. He's got a good fast bowling build. He's quite tall and nice and lean and fit. He's doing a good job.
All right. So going back to our discussion that I was about to ask you, a lot of franchisee cricket league is going on, and like every country has their own leagues. Do you think that after a certain time, or maybe let's say in 4 or 5 years, this will be more important than the international cricket to the cricketers, because we all are watching a plethora of cricketers leaving the international scene to only play for the franchisee leagues. What are your comments on that?
I don't think it'll take over importance of international cricket. I think, speaking to players, they still want to play for their country. Look, I think the only thing is, 2020 cricket's a great. When you have international cricket, you only get to see 11 guys, right? And there's so many other good players. So in Bangladesh, for example, there's so many other good players than just the 11 players. Or Australia, there's so many good players that we don't get to see. But now, because of 2020 cricket, we get to see them. So I think it's great for that. I think guys that may never have played international cricket can make a career playing cricket. And, at the end of the day, I think people do have to move with the times and accept that there are 3 forms of the game. They're all very important. They're all as important as each other. And I just think 2020 has been a great lease, like I said, for younger guys to make a name for themselves.
But ICC is very cautious about Test cricket, and the purists or the classical fans who wants to watch Test cricket and who loves Test cricket, they are really worried about the future of Test cricket. Do you think it is going to survive the long run, or we have to change the format, like more Test cricket under the lights, maybe shortened Test crickets of 4 days? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think Test cricket will be fine if it's a good product. It'll last, right? You can't force people what to watch, and you can't force people to love Test cricket if they don't love it. and you can't force people to love 2020 cricket. The older generation will always be on Test cricket side, and the younger generation are starting to enjoy 2020 cricket. I just think you try and find a happy balance in the scheduling, and getting all the best players. The Big Bash would be great to see our best players that play for Australia play the Big Bash, but obviously because of scheduling with international cricket, we don't get to see them play. So, look, I think international cricket will always reign supreme, but the T20 franchise stuff is really important as well.
All right, Shaun, let me take a couple of more questions. They're coming in thick and fast, and I'm so sorry that we have to fit in so many things in so short time.
No problem.
One of them is asking you, your career ended, rather unfortunately. You had to go through a lot, in injuries and as you've mentioned. What was that phase? Cricketers and sportsmen as general go through injuries, and they have to come back. What is the mental battle? What is the mental side of it?
Yeah. Well, I think I got used to it after a while, but I think, look, it is tough, especially when you're younger. It's quite tough. The first time I had shoulder surgery, I took it quite bad. It was the first time I was going to be out of the game for probably 6 months. But it just comes with the territory. If you're going to run in a bowl fast, you're going to get injured. That's just the way it is. I don't think it matters how fit and strong you are. It just comes with the territory. So, look, that's the mental side of it, but you have to deal with it. And I think the best way to deal with that is probably talking to the other players in your team that have been there before. I had like Jason Gillespie and Michael Kasperwich, Brett Lee, these sort of guys around me that I could get the experience off and learn off them from what they did with their injuries. So I think the best for young cricketers to do is speak to the more experienced guys and learn from them.
All right, Shaun, there's another question about which one is your best wicket of your career?
Best wicket of my career? That is a really tough one.
Or the one you enjoyed the most?
The one I enjoyed the most? Wow. Put me on the spot a little bit.
Yes.
I mean, look, I think anytime you get out one of your childhood heroes is a big moment, I suppose. When I played domestic cricket for South Australia, I got Steve Waugh out, LBW, which that was a big deal. That was a big deal to me at the time. And I think international cricket, look, probably Sachin. I got Sachin, I think, was my last one-day wicket. And he was a bit of a childhood hero, I suppose. So that was a good one.
All right, and there are some, questions. Who is the best batsman you've faced while you were at the peak of your powers, and what do you think of the current lot? The batsmen of playing today. These are the questions that are coming thick and fast, so you can have a quick go at it.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably a little bit after my peak, but certainly. Although at the same time, I did play against at my peak as well. But Kevin Peterson was hard to bowl to.
Yeah.
I feel Virat. I probably bowled to Virat more towards the end of my career, but Virat, obviously in one-day cricket with the white ball, was tough to bowl to as well. So those two guys stand out quite a bit. I played against Sachin, obviously, so there's been so much said about him. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to choose any one player, but look, KP and Virat are as good as I've bowled to.
All right, and your thought about the current lot of batsmen? Do you think any good? They're any good?
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously the obvious ones you talk about in Test cricket, Smith and these guys. But I think the one that stands out to me is probably Rohit Sharma, and I think the way that Rohit Sharma and Virat go about it in one-day cricket is phenomenal. I mean, the way just the way they strike the ball, and there's no weakness. Short balls, full balls, everything. So I like watching those guys play, especially Rohit Sharma. Yeah.
Exactly, and you said that you've seen your fair share of Bangladesh cricket. So, what do you think about the team? The big cricketers like Tamim, Shakib, Alhassan, Mushfiqur Rahim. You obviously haven't played that much against them, but you've seen a fair share in BPL. What are your thoughts on them?
I've actually played with Tamim. I played with Tamim in the Pakistan Super League. and spent a bit of time. I enjoyed his company. He's a really good player. He's quality. Yeah, I mean the other guys they speak for themselves. I suppose they've become legends of Bangladeshi cricket, really.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah, so I've actually managed to spend a bit of time with them, and they're world class. There's no doubt about that. They're right up there. I think the way Tamim, spent a little bit of time with him in the PSL, just the way he thinks about it. He's really cool, calm, and collected, but he's a smart batsman, and he thinks about the game a lot.
All right, and what do you think of the progress that Bangladesh have made since you first seen them in 2007 World Cup, and now it's 2020? So it's been 13 years you've been watching them, maybe probably more. So your thoughts on their progress in the international cricket, but they're lacking a bit in the Test match. So any thoughts on that?
So you're exactly right. Short form, they can beat anyone on their day. They're dangerous. And obviously everyone talks about the spin. You go to Bangladesh and you've got to face the spin. It's going to be tough. But that's, what we're talking about, what you were talking about before, about the progress of the fast bowlers. I'd love to see a little bit more progress there. That's, and obviously the batsmen, there's some really quality batsmen now. I think that it's probably the lack of depth at the moment. It's just holding them back a little bit. The progression's been phenomenal over time. For the last couple of years, I think just the extra couple of fast bowlers, which I'm sure they're going to be coming through anyway. There's obviously a lot of people in Bangladesh and a lot of people that love cricket in Bangladesh. So we're going to see, using India as a bit of an example over time, how much they've improved, certainly in the short form stuff. How much the IPL has improved Indian cricket. It'll be the exact same for Bangladesh. It's just going to take a little bit more time.
All right, Shaun, let me welcome you. Let me welcome someone who you know and you are familiar with, Taskin Ahmed, one of the finest batsmen Bangladesh have ever produced. Taskin আমাদের সাথে এখন যোগ দিচ্ছেন দর্শক মণ্ডলী। Taskin, hopefully আপনি আমাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছেন।
জি।
Hopefully you can hear me. Shaun, you can ask whatever you want to.
Sorry, I can't hear you, mate. You just cut out then.
Shaun, Taskin has just joined us, so hopefully you can hear him.
I can see.
Hi, Shaun.
Hey, Taskin, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. After a long time. You remember in my first BPL, I played with you.
Yep. We were talking about that before. I remember doing some work in the nets with you and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that must have been 2013.
2013, yeah.
You're a young boy then, that's for sure.
It was 2013. Yes.
Yeah. So we are doing training.
I think Shaun, he's still young and looking fit as ever.
He hasn't changed. He has not changed a bit.
No, I was
yeah, exactly. He looks just the same.
No, I just lost a few kg weights. I have been training for the last 4 months.
Yep.
And working hard to get myself fit and better bowler.
Good.
So I was in few injury, like ankle, back. Now it's better. So we have next month we have Sri Lanka tour for 3 test matches. So we are working on it. At the moment, we all are training individually. Hopefully, from the next month, we will start our team training.
Yep.
So now I have few questions to you.
Taskin, go ahead. Is here.
Normally, when I was injured, after that, I lost some pace. Now again, it's bit better. So for to increase some pace and to get old rhythm, what normally you used to do when you coming from injury?
Yeah, it was always I think coming back from injury, it probably takes 2 or 3 months to get your pace back to probably an international standard, and then it probably takes a couple of more months to get the pace where you want. So a lot of it's got to do with patience, I suppose. But the other thing about coming back from injury is you've got to have the confidence to bowl fast again, because like with me with my elbow surgery or shoulder surgery, I was a little bit afraid to go 100% for a while because I was like, oh, it's going to hurt again or I'm going to get injured again.
Yeah.
So I think it's sort of mentally trying to overcome and just tell yourself that you can bowl faster again. You know, like, again, I think it comes back to attitude of just running in the nets and just letting it all go and not being afraid to be injured again. You know, as far as, you know, I think with the fitness stuff, you're fit and you probably do all the good fitness stuff anyway. And, you know, you're fitter than what I ever was as a bowler. But I just think a lot of it's your attitude towards bowling fast. And I think just push your body to the limits and don't be afraid to do that. Obviously, make sure you get your rest as well. And you don't want to be 100% all the time. But on that session where you might be at the nets and you think, oh, today's the day where I'm going to run in and bowl 100%. And take your body to the next level. Yeah.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. So main thing is mentally and like
just having
confidence.
And just keep telling yourself that you're going to be faster and you're going to get faster. And I think, you know, every now and then you have that session in the nets where you just let it all go and bowl as fast as you can. And eventually your body gets used to doing that. And then you come out in a game naturally.
And normally in the team, they always pick me as a fast bowler. So in between test cricket, so if we are doing fielding, so like after first day, like we must be tired on the next day. Like if I'm bowling 25 overs a day, so next day also I have to come and I have to put my effort. And I have to bowl fast. So normally, what type of recovery or exercise in between test match you used to do or we should do?
Well, like, I'm trying to think. You know, I didn't play a heap of test cricket, but I played enough 4-day cricket and even 1-day cricket. But I used to rest quite a bit. I took, you know, to try and bowl 150 kilometers an hour, I used to rest quite a bit. So I just listened to my body. And if my body was really, really sore and I needed a rest, I'd take maybe a day or two off. But sometimes it takes confidence to tell a coach or a fitness trainer that you want to rest, because sometimes they'll be, you know, and no offense to them, but sometimes they'll be pushing you to do more when you don't really want to.
Yeah.
You just got to, at the end of the day, you know, it is your career, and sometimes you have to make decisions for yourself. And once you get a good relationship with the physiotherapist or the fitness trainer or the bowling coach, if they understand you and your body, it'll make decisions a lot easier. So basically what I'm saying is get plenty of rest, for sure. Don't be afraid to take an extra day off, because you're never going to lose the ability to bowl. You won't lose the ability to bowl. Take a couple of extra days off. But get that relationship with your physio, your bowling coach, really tight and really good. And then you can trust each other to make the right decisions.
Yeah. And what type of exercise you used to do to bowl fast, like explosive or heavy weight lifting? What type of you reckon?
I didn't. Yeah, like when I was playing, I didn't lift very heavy weights, to be honest. I think the best thing for me was, you know, for example, a simple session like I'd do 60-meter sprints, 50-meter sprints. You know.
Okay.
So I'd set up some cones and just do sort of 80, 90% run throughs, maybe 50, 60 meters. I'd take a break in the middle after doing 8, and I'll do another 8, and I'll just walk back. That's it. Because I just felt like it helped my rhythm, you know, and it helped my explosiveness. That's the number one thing I can think of was the quick, fast run throughs. Over, say, in between 50 to 80 meters. I'll probably do that once or twice a week, other than bowling. And look, with the weight stuff, it depends on what you like doing. If you like doing weights, then great. But I think the best thing, you know, in my experience was a lot of the body weight stuff. Simple push-ups, sit-ups, and maybe chin-ups.
Like plyometric stuff type.
Yeah, just simple body weight, push-ups, sit-ups, chin-ups, that sort of thing. You know, it sounds really simple, but it often works.
All right. Okay. So yeah.
Well, I've been watching.
All right.
I've been watching you play.
Viewers, I think, and thought exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think enjoying quite a bit because two fast bowlers talking to each other is always fun to listen to watch. Shaun, yes, you were asking something
No,
to Taskin.
I was just saying to Taskin, I've been watching him over the last couple of years. I've been enjoying watching him play. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, so last 1.5 years, I was in the squad, but I didn't play. So normally, honestly, last few years, because of the injuries, with my pace and some fitness level, I was not consistent. That's why coaching staff and some other guys was not happy to pick me. So what I'm focusing to keep myself fit and consistent, I can play all the formats. So that's what I'm focusing. But still, injury can happen to anyone anytime. But I'm trying my best. I'm still hoping to bowl my best. Pace have to be good because I'm fast bowler. If I bowl 130, no matter, they're not going to pick me. So I have to bowl minimum 140 consistently. That's why I'm focusing my fitness level, more sprinting. And what you said to me, that in my mind I have to keep that I will bowl fast and with the 100%. So that's what I'm practicing nowadays. Hopefully it will help me in future, inshallah.
Look, absolutely, Taskin. That's and I think you'll come back for sure. And the explosive running stuff, like I said, is really important. But get plenty of rest. Make sure you rest your body as well, because bowling fast like that, you do need to rest a lot as well. Hopefully, it'd be nice if once this coronavirus settles down.
All right, Taskin. Right.
Sorry, there's a bit of delay there. I'd love to come to Bangladesh.
Please, Shaun, continue. No, it's all right.
Yeah, inshallah. Hope to see you soon in BPL.
Yeah.
Again.
I'll try and get a job as a bowling coach.
Inshallah. Yeah.
Yes, of course. I'm sure thing to you anywhere. যাওয়ার আগে বিদায় জাস্ট একটু ছোট করে দিতে চাই আমাদের দর্শকদের জন্য। শ্রীলঙ্কা সিরিজের প্রস্তুতিটা কেমন হচ্ছে? আপনি শারীরিকভাবে এখন কেমন আছেন? সুস্থ আছেন কতটুকু? এবং আপনাদের আসলে লক্ষ্যটা কি থাকবে শ্রীলঙ্কা সিরিজে? অনেকদিন পর ক্রিকেটে ফিরছেন, খুব ছোট করে যদি বলেন।
যে আল্লাহ পাকের অশেষ রহমতে সবাই খুব ভালো ট্রেনিং করছি আমরা, ইন্ডিভিজুয়ালি আমাদের শিডিউল দেওয়া এবং ট্রেনিং প্ল্যান দেওয়া। আল্লাহর রহমতে প্রিপারেশন খুব ভালো হচ্ছে এবং সেই সাথে এখন পর্যন্ত আমরা সবাই ফিজিক্যালি ফিট আছি। আশা করি সামনেও থাকবো। আমাদের লক্ষ্য ভালো আছে, তো সবাই দোয়া করবেন আমরা যাতে সুস্থ থাকি এবং সবাই সবার 100% দিতে পারি এবং ভালো খেলতে পারি। ধন্যবাদ।
All right, Taskin, thank you. Thanks a lot for joining us. I'm going to let you go now.
All right. Hope to see you again. Thank you.
Good to see you, Taskin.
Take care. Bye.
You too.
All right, viewers, that was Taskin Ahmed. Shaun, that was very kind of you to help one of our best prospects in the country. So we are at the end of the show. I'm going to take one last word. Is by Rahat Anwar. He's asking you, describe Shakib Alhassan and his impact on Bangladesh cricket, and he's going to come back very shortly. He's for some unfortunate reason he's facing a punishment from the ICC, and he's going to come back in late October. So your thoughts on his coming back into the Bangladesh cricket and its impact?
Yeah, he's been so important to Bangladesh cricket over a long time. I think probably their most important player. He was number one all-rounder in the world for a few years, wasn't he? Or a couple of years, certainly for a while, which is a huge feat. To be number one all-rounder in the world is an amazing effort. And I remember there was a time when I was playing and he was that. So, look, he's great in any conditions around the world. He's been a great player, and it'd be good to see him back.
All right, Shaun, thanks a lot for your time. I think we are over with what we had in our arrangement, and I'm going to let you go and enjoy whatever free time you're having. I'm sure when the things will get back to normal, and you will be very busy in no time. Thanks, mate, and you take care.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's been good. Thank you.